Well, this is the big story right now.
Yeah.
They're calling it a military insider. He's made over $100,000. Yeah. Let's start with this. Right, Raw Story's got the report. Possible military insider bets big. Trump will send U.S. troops into Iran. This account has already in this month profited $100,000 from accurate bets on what the military is going to do in the United States. Don't get me wrong. This person has also lost certain bets, but a $100,000 profit for the month. And one of those profits was that the U.S. will go into Iran by the end of this month, to which I believe the individual did sell his position, their position, we don't know if it's a man or woman, after this story broke. So we don't know if they actually know or they're just buying and then selling. But again, I stress this. A military insider is not insider trading because they're not the ones issuing contracts on events.
Yeah.
And like...
He's taking the risk still.
What risk?
Well, he's putting his own money down on a contract that...
Yeah, but if you know it's guaranteed to happen, there's no risk.
I mean, if he's taking losses, then clearly...
Didn't Mr. Beast fired somebody for wagering? A Mr. Beast employee was wagering on Mr. Beast prediction markets.
Oh.
And I think Mr. Beast fired him.
Yeah, but it's not illegal. Right?
No, but I mean...
So the argument is it is... So Kalshi... Polymarket's not regulated in the United States. Kalshi is regulated under the CFTC. And so the argument is insider trading is illegal. And this is where I take issue with that claim. Insider trading is supposed to be, again, as I've already stated, that you at a company are giving private information to an individual they can profit off of through the stock market. So the stock market is publicly traded. People are in good faith trading stock, hoping your company is going to do better, or they're shorting you think it's going to do worse. When you give secret information that no one has so that someone can profit, that's defrauding the public. Because you go to a person and they say, based on the latest reports, the company's looking good. And you go, yeah, buy all my shares. Because you knew they actually were going bankrupt in a week. That's insider trading. But again, when I log onto the site, I guess the argument is when I choose to buy a contract, I'm buying it from a person. But Polymarket and Kalshi are the ones who pay out the dollar per share after the fact. I am not in their company. I am not selling a product. I am just a person who knows things.
Seems like for the betting on the military action, if the guy's in the briefing room and he's like, oh, we're going? Okay, now someone else may have posted the bet, but I can reap massive reward.
Well, here's the question. Here's the question. So Kalshi's got this one we've talked about quite a bit. Who will attend a White House press briefing this year? I'm actually the top contender right now. Oh, I'm tied with Tulsi Gabbard. Tim Pool at 53%. How am I an insider?
You're not.
I mean, it's
yes, and then go.
That would decide to go, and
that would be the.
But again, I don't run this company. So the question is this: explain to me the difference, or why it would be the same. In fact, not the difference. Why is it the same? The CEO getting a report that their latest phone product is malfunctioning, and they won't be able to release on schedule, so the stock's going to fall. That's and then he gives that information to somebody versus me telling my neighbor I plan on going to the White House press briefing tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm not a business.
It's totally different.
But they call it insider trading. So I actually think this is a very weird space, and I think there is something. Look, I got a lot to say about, with all due respect to Kalshi, like I said, they sponsor the show, but do they have the right to sell contracts using my or anyone else's likeness on our behavior?
Well, maybe that's the only way they're protecting you from the insider trading stuff, right? Let's say that they broke you off for using your name.
I got it. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I figured it out. I solved for the problem. Kalshi cuts me in on 20% of all contracts bought using my name and likeness.
There you go.
And then I'm an insider.
Yes.
And then I will not provide any private information. Right. The problem ultimately comes to this. What if I was talking to my neighbor and I said, well, I do think they called me up and asked me to come to the press briefing, so I think I'll go. He's a member of the public. That's not inside information. I'm literally telling someone I plan to go to a place.
When is it not a member of the public? It's like if your wife, is that a member of the public?
Honestly, don't know. Here's a curious question. Maybe someone can answer. If the CEO of a company is at a coffee shop and he tells the waitress sobbing that, this is going to come out in the next day or two, but their latest product is failed and they're going to go bankrupt in a week, is he informing the public? Like, at what point does it qualify as informing the public? A press release from the company formally to the press? How big does the press outlet have to be that receives it? What if he goes to a park and gets on a bullhorn and declares publicly, my company is going bankrupt next week?
Let's say that one.
Sounds public.
I mean, that might be illegal. I don't know. There's probably rules and regulations about what public companies can say or can't say.
Yeah, I mean, if I understand correctly, like if you have inside knowledge, you can't give it to anyone else because that makes you the one that's involved in insider trading. So I don't know, like the idea of just like spouting it out, like when you're in a restaurant. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how the law would go, but I think that they limit what you're allowed to talk about because Musk has said that like when it comes to like the possibility of SpaceX going public, he said that I have to be careful what I say because if you hype up a product too much before it goes public, there's issues with that. So
this happened to Elon.
Yeah, and I heard him on a podcast.
What was it when he said he was talking about doing the stock buyback or something? They were like, we never approved that.
There was issues. I think that it had to do with Tesla before, and it was a couple years back. But it
needs an SEC filing. So it's got to be a widely disseminated press release or SEC filing. Do I have to issue a press release? Like, again, that is ridiculous. That if I want to tell somebody, like, again, if I go to my neighbor and say, yeah, I think I'm going to go tomorrow, and then he buys a contract that's illegal, aha, and he's going to be like, why? I don't know. I didn't know that no one else knew. He was literally just walking around talking to the neighbors. And they're going to be like, you have to assume at any point that anything Tim Pool says could be information that could lead to you committing a crime.
That's
insane.
No, it's not insider trading for that reason. Because if you're the CEO of a company and you tell the public about your company, you're in control of disseminating the information. Them putting you on a list and then getting people to vote on that list doesn't preclude you from doing anything. They're allowed to go do that crap. You can go do your thing. There's no coercion. There's no collusion. I mean, but then you're like, well, shit, if I bet on myself and then do it, but they're like, oh, it's not illegal, but it violates our terms, and well, maybe it should be illegal. Maybe that's why it violates your terms, is because it's highly unethical and probably should be illegal. This real-time voting crap is like disgusting, turning reality into a TV show like this, trying to profit off of it. People in the military profiting off of strikes. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Everything's a casino now.
Yeah,
it's all gambling.
The gamification of life is a real problem, right? The idea that everything can be somehow turned into a game, whether it be betting or what have you.
But there's a market for it, and there's people participating in it, especially young guys. Like, that's the thing. I think these guys are so either bored or sitting at home needing some kind of stimulation that they're willing to go bet on stuff like this. The reason Kalshi and Polymarket exist is because there's a market for it.
Yeah.
And so are they the bad guys there for filling that market? Or, like, what's the actual problem here?
Well, the problem is people that don't have the self-control enough to say, no, I'm not going to bet on it.
Well, what's the difference between that and 100 years ago, a guy just going to the casino or the racetrack every day?
Well, the difference here is you can say, I'm going to vote $50 on Tulsi Gabbard getting appointed, and then go on Twitter and be like, we have to appoint Tulsi Gabbard. Like, that's so messed up. I mean, get 100 million people to be like, okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know that just anyone could do that. Like, if you've got an X account with 300 followers, 350 followers, and you're like, we have to get Tulsi Gabbard into the position. I mean, that doesn't have all kinds of influence.
Well, you might need to pass the public figure standard there, which is a real legal standard, right? So maybe then there's a legal threshold that actually qualifies, but still, that like Tim says, am I gonna have to put out a press release every time I do something? That's the crux of it. It's how much of your own life are you now entitled to if someone else is using your name, image, likeness?
I think that
to sell stuff on,
there is a certain amount of right to privacy and a certain amount of right to liberty. You shouldn't have to be like, hey, I'm going to go do this, so I have to worry about what some other company is doing because I'm a public figure.
So, so it looks like it's not insider trading in any legitimate sense. It's just by the description of Kalshi insider trading.
But then that means there's no problem. with
criminal
the government.
liability.
Yeah, if you're not criminal, then whatever.
The only criminal liability would be using a large public platform to defraud people. So, like, if I said that I would be going there, and then the price spiked, and then Ian sold off his position, profited, and then I didn't go, that would be fraud, just general fraud.
Yeah.
But that makes sense because you don't need Kalshi to commit fraud. I mean, anything can be fraud.
Yeah.
If I said there's an old trick people used to do in World of Warcraft. Ian, let me know if you know about the scam that people would pull. They would go into I don't know if you're not familiar with World of Warcraft. I'll try to explain it. So Stormwind or Orgrimmar, a capital city. They go to a big city, and there's an active group chat for everybody who's in the city. And then people would often post things like looking to buy this item. And so what someone would do is they would post looking to buy these boots for 50 gold. Then they'd wait a little bit. And then their friend would post looking to sell these boots for 40 gold. Somebody would see it and then go, I'll buy them from you. And they would be like, okay, how much you got? And they'll be like, I'll give you the 40 gold for it. And they'll go, no, I want 45. And they'll be like, okay, deal. Because in their mind, I'm going to go to this other guy who's going to buy it for 50 and make a 5 gold profit. And then he buys it for 45, overpriced, messages the guy who said he wants it for 50, who then responds, oh, I already bought one. Sorry, bro.
I never did it. No.
That was
They
a
did that
very...
in RuneScape all the time too.
Yep. Very common tricks. Like, fraud is fraud. I mean, I don't know about being in a video game for
No,
fake
it's not in a video
digital
game.
currency.
You're beating each other in a game when you're doing that stuff to each other.
Beating someone in a game.
Isn't that just brokering though?
Just what?
Isn't that just like normal brokering?
No.
Not if the other guy doesn't buy
For
it.
two people to intentionally collude so that one person can say, I'm looking to buy a spindrift for $20. And then Ian says, I'm selling a spindrift for $10. And then you go, oh crap. If I buy it from him from 10 and sell it to him for 20, I'm going to make $10. So you buy the overpriced can of soda from Ian. And then when you come to me, I go, I already got one. Don't need it anymore. Appreciate it, brother.
Gotcha.
And now you've spent more on a worthless item. So that was the trick. You do that in real life, you're going to jail for fraud.
That's some Turkish bizarre stuff.
Isn't it? Here's the funny thing, though. That's like a very, very basic fraud thing, where it's like someone asks for help, like I'm trying to find this one thing. Actually, you know what? A really good example is the what movie was it with Emma Stone and I think Abigail Breslin?
I don't even know who Abigail Breslin is.
Yeah.
So they're driving in a car, and then I think it's Emma Stone. She's looking around her car like, oh my God. And the guy walks out, he's like, something wrong? She's like, I lost my engagement ring. It's $5,000. I can't find it. It fell off when I was pumping the gas.
Zombieland?
Was it Zombieland?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah,
beginning of
actually it
Zombieland?
is. Yeah.
And then she goes, please, if you find it, I will pay you a reward for it. I'll give you $1,000. And then she drives off, and then he walks away, and then the girl walks over and picks it up off the ground, and he's like, I need that ring. And she goes, what are you going to give me for it? And then he gives her a bunch of cash.
Yep.
And then she gets in the car with Emma Stone, and they've got a thing full of these worthless rings.
There's one with like a lottery ticket too. This one person claims like, oh, I just won this lottery ticket and it's like worth this much, but I don't have time to go, turn it in, but I'll sell it to you.
Yeah, you can buy prank lottery tickets that they're like $100 winners. And then you can be like, hey man, I got a $100 winner. Just give me $50. I don't care. And then they buy it. It's not a real lottery ticket. All these scams, bro. All these scams.
The polymarket Kalshi stuff is easily scammable. That's the problem with it. I think it has good intentions and it could be fun. But,
Wait, you just said that it didn't have good intentions.
well,
I don't
I
think
it's
no.
supposed to be fun and like you can make some
It is
money off
fun.
of some external thing and like. But when you get personal with it and you know the people involved, or you get information, or you can actually literally influence the outcome with your own behavior, bro, you're not allowed. You're not supposed to bet on that shit, and no one that you know is supposed to bet on that stuff. But there's no law in place
No,
yet.
there is no law.
Oh, the Democrats will find a law soon enough, I'm sure.
Like, you don't want to shove it underground into the black market. Maybe you do.
Well, I mean, the thing is, with it being regulated by the SEC, or if they're involved in the regulation of it, it's definitely not going to be shoved underground. There's nothing more above ground than the SEC. That's the organization that regulates banks and stuff.
You're saying they are SEC is regulating these guys right now?
I think that's what Tim's saying.
They are regulated. Kalshi is legit regulated under the CFTC. And I do think it's fun. I just think these questions need to be answered because it's a new thing.
And it can spiral out of control really quick.
Well, you've got to answer these questions.
And you could siphon wealth to one guy real fast with one of these bets, so be careful.
like, interestingly enough, and I want to make sure I make this very clear, although I don't know. I mean no intention to insult Kalshi, because I like it. You can see I got my portfolio. Like, I like making little bets because it's fun. It's not, I'm trying to make a living or get rich, or it's not money that if I lost, I'm going to hit the end of the world. I've got $1,177 in there, and I actually started with a couple hundred. So actually, it's like, hey, look at that. I made some money on this thing.
Doing
Right?
all right.
I think it's fun. That being said, there are a lot of questions, like if you want to be a regulated prediction market in there. Now, with all due respect to Kalshi, who does, we do what's called a micro sponsorship, meaning that here's how it started. There was a period where we've been using prediction markets for a long time. Predictit was one of the first. I don't know if it still exists, just because I know they got like shut down or something.
Oh, really? Yeah, we use those for a lot of elections and stuff.
Yep, we used to use Predictit for elections, but I don't know that it's allowed. Like they basically banned it, and it's very similar, like Democratic presidential nominee, and it functions. It's a prediction market, and so we were using this, and then Polymarket came out, and it's interesting because you get a kind of wisdom of the crowd where you can see what everyone's betting on, and then you're basically getting odds on politicians to win and public events, and so. We ended up having companies reach out to us asking us if we would do sponsorships. And we were kind of like, maybe, I don't know. And so the deal we do with Kalshi is we will just, when we do a news story where there is beneficial information from their prediction markets, say, shout out to Kalshi for sponsoring this segment. That's literally it. So we don't do dedicated ad reads to it. They were just like, hey, how about when you do use us, you just shout us out and we'll do a deal on that. And we were like, we do it anyway. Like, sounds good to us. So I like Kalshi. I do. That being said, I think there's something interesting and a conversation to be had around. They have my picture on their website. They are selling a product based on my name.
Are they making money?
They of course they are. This is the nature of their business. Now, perhaps in the deal that we did with them, to be full disclosure, we went through a contract. I mean, maybe there's fine print that says we can use your likeness or something. I don't know. Maybe. But the question then becomes, for all of these individuals, are these people who have, like Pam Bondi doesn't have a deal with Kalshi, I don't think, right?
We know of.
Or Donald Trump. I suppose as public figures, you're allowed to use their likeness. So Dan Bongino would fall into that category as well.
My question here is, at what point do you become a public figure? If you got
When you are in politics, when you are you are in public office.
But you're a public figure at this point.
No. I'm clarifying. If you are a politician and you hold any kind of public office or judgeship or otherwise, I can use your name and picture for commercial products.
What about other public figures like Tom Hanks?
No.
Oh, you're
That's
saying
private
politicians.
business.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
So like we're making the card game right now, Debate Me, and we have the first prototype ready to go. The test set is available. It's our new game where you debate each other and you build the best debate team possible, and you get Ben Shapiro and Trump. So all of the people, like we can't put Tucker Carlson in the game. So we have Tucker Carlson. Totally different guy.
Yep.
Yeah, but we can put Donald Trump in the game because he's
all. president.
And we can use the likeness of the president to sell products. However, we're being careful about it. And so we're going to run every name through legal to make sure they don't say like you're using likeness. But I do think it's interesting, this question about individuals. Like, come on, in mentions, they say like, what will Robert Garcia say during his MS Now interview? Like, here's a picture of them. Are you allowed, under like standard civil practices, to use someone else's name and likeness to sell a commercial product based on their actions?
So, politician, obviously you can. What if then they leave politics? Are they no longer a public figure?
You can use it
forever.
Yep.
Once you enter politics, what if you run for office?
I don't know about running for office.
Taking public money.
We've gone over this in the past for a variety of reasons based on like making thumbnails and doing graphics and writing articles. And basically every lawyer's like, the public has a right to use the image and likeness of public officials. Because imagine if, I'm like, okay, so let's put it this way. Can I put up a billboard that says buy pool water and it's got a picture of Brad Pitt smiling?
No.
Of course not.
And you get sued.
You cannot. There is an argument to be made about, because we've done this when we're working with the Outfront Media for Times Square. If we put up, Michael Malice had the idea to put up a billboard that said, be like Greta, drop out of school. And it was Greta Thunberg on the billboard. And they said no, because it's a copyright violation. They said there's a technical argument for free speech if you're using it to make a public statement about a well-known public figure. However, it becomes challenging with non-governmental officials and a lot of these companies say we don't want to get in the middle of a lawsuit over, like using someone's likeness like that. So basically, we talked to our lawyers and they said, if it's speech, like when we said Taylor Lorenz docs libs of TikTok, all we used was her name. They said that's just speech. Using her image gets kind of murky, but if it's being presented as an informational speech thing, you might be able to get away with it. The simple way to understand it is, if I want to speak about Scott Bessent or Donald Trump, I have to be able to do that. He's a politician. We need to be able to have a say in our processes. However, Brad Pitt's a celebrity who uses his likeness to profit. He's not in office. What he does for his business has no direct influence on what we do. He's not running for office.
Does that mean I can sell lunchboxes with Arnold Schwarzenegger on them?
Talk to the lawyer. Maybe not at this point. But again, the important thing to understand about contract law is that it's all murky. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.